In the shadow of great rings, we shall fall. Or whatever Darth Vader said to Gandalf. Today I built a demonic jump captain out of this dude here, and I'm absolutely not pretending not to build one of my favorite characters. So after gently opening the box like a normal human being, I took an overview of the gubbins inside and cut out the parts that I needed for today's amalgamation. I cleaned the parts from all the mold lines and sprue residues because I did enough rage baiting within the intro. As I don't want to have a world eater in the end, I had to remove all the teeth of the planet monsters to make it look like a normal chaos trim. And once everything was clean, I glued the torso together and removed the coronate symbol on his belt buckle. I wanted to try something new here I've seen on the local mini, where somebody used the Citadel's glue to smoothen out the surface as it melts the plastic down, so let's try that. And while that breaks the surface, I remove his bodybuilder neck, think about the cannot unsee meme and dress him in his armor. I think this one looks proper demonic. I want to give this one 2 lightning claws, but they shall be presented in a very arrogant, open and bestial stance. So I had to cut the shoulder joint in a slight angle and use a little bit of green stuff to secure it in place. And after that I summoned my hobby knife and used the backside of the blade to sculpt the arm joints. Since I realized that these blades only last for 1 or 2 builds, I might as well use the back as well. The neck had still too much neck, so it was shortened once again to make room for a nice helmet. And once that was done, I used an Argel's arm where I removed the shoulder, and I have no idea why. I could have used the possessed ones, but this one spoke to me somehow. Not literally. I'm not insane. Yet. So I removed a good chunk from its shoulder and glued a Keeper of Secrets hand onto it. Once again, a possessed one might have worked as well, but I somehow like to mismatch everything. Again, a little bit of super glue and green stuff secured the arm, and while that dries, I went on with his back module. For a lord with jump module, it would be very fitting to have a jump module. But what if Chaos says nope? You get wings. Because wings are also very cool. So once again, I cut apart some wing arms from a flesh eater quartz blah 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 horror, since they are very conveniently fitting for bigger marine miniatures like the Exalted 8 bounce, in my opinion. And after I had 2 flat surfaces, I thought I should pin these 2 parts since they do weigh a little more than just a casual jump pack. So I get out the big tools. I mean the big tools. And drill straight through the backpack and into the wing arm. After some cleaning, I cut some wire and secured said wire with the help of a little bit of green stuff to fill out the empty space within the backpack. I got this chained up hook from the former Legionnaire's kill team and used it as a decoration to indicate his legion. And after that I cut the wire a little shorter as the holes on the wing arms are not that deep. And once that's done, I used green stuff to help securing the wing arm better and fuse them to the backpack. And while you see me doing this, I want to welcome the newest Patreon, F. Das. Thank you and everyone else for the support. And when they were in place, I cut away the excess green stuff and tri-fitted it for the first time. I summoned the rest of his body, or his body I guess, and thought that the wing arm looks a little bit weak. Maybe that's because they are from a flesh eater. So I bulked them up with the help of some green stuff again. I formed some sausages and pressed them into obedience with my fingers first, and after that I take care of the finer details with the sculpting tool and the backside of my knife. And when they were to my liking, I gave his Argel Majesty his shoulder plates, which come from the same kit, and thought about a cool hat. With my boy it's pretty easy since he always wears a helmet. So a Jump Marine's helmet that is slightly demonic works in my opinion. As all the Jump Marines need to stand at least a Space Marine high above their comrades, I needed a base for him, and some Chaos Knight leftovers were here to rescue the day. A little bit of super glue, some old wires, and we're good to go. And because I felt the huge urge to give him a tail to make him look a little more demonic, I did so. With the help of a little bit of green stuff once again that comes out of his back. And if anyone notices this bit, feel free to comment and I will pin it. Thank you, by the way. With the Crimson Lord we obviously start with Ultramarines Blue, because I am spiteful and I need to assert dominance over this color. When I wake up in the morning I have the urge to mock Gilliman and his boys with every fiber of my being, and I guess this is a running theme at this point on this channel. I also want to try different paint schemes here as well and not repeat myself every time I paint a word bearer. Since I've already planned 3 more for an upcoming video. But I digress. Purple for the wings. And now let's Spider-Manify him with a little red, gory red to be exact. I want the blue to still be visible in the shadows, so I use a dry brushing motion from top to bottom to achieve that. And while that dries, I pick out some areas that shall be highlighted and increase the amount of gory red like on his belt buckle, the shoulders and his helmet. After the red comes the obligatory trim that I surprisingly painted with dark silver. And after that I felt the urge to increase the amount of red again with scarlet red, since he is the Crimson Lord after all. To shade the metallics I went with Darkenoff Nightshade. This bottle is so old that I'm still confused why it exists. I bought it when I re-entered the hobby in 2017. It predates contrast paints, the League of Wotan, the Nighthaunt and the Lumineth Realm Lords. But I have to confess I do use it very rarely and only in very small quantities. What I use very often though is Pro Acryl's Silver. In this case to highlight the trim and brighten it up again. And after that I pretend to airbrush these wings with Buckman's Glow and Light Flash because I'm too lazy to set up my camera on my airbrushing station. It's like hobby horsing, but not that ridiculous. And after that absolutely professional shot I refine the muscles and fingers of the wings with Light Flash. And once that was done, I painted all the organic claws and horns with dark rust and red blended more and more elfic flash onto it until I was happy with the color. And to round up this miniature, I paint his base with diluted oranges, browns and bone-like colors. Also to have a striking focus point, I use blue for his eyes. Nothing too special here. Ultramarines blue followed by Vallejo's turquoise and white for the inner islands. And for the sake of doing it, I use some decals to round up his looks. These ones are, at least for my taste, the best Chaos decals ever, coming from the old world Marauders. Just classic Chaos stars and Chaos symbols. Nothing too fancy here. Cut out, apply with a brush, wait until dry and go over them with 1 or 2 coats of Lamium Medium. And after that a tiny amount of Reichland Flash Shade just to take off that pure white look. And once that was done, I felt particularly adventurous today and used pigments for the first time on this channel. if I remember correctly. And I used the oldest of brushes that I could find for that. First some reddish ones and after that some sand-like ones, both coming from Vallejo. Desert dust and brown iron oxide. And with that done, I call the miniature done. Even though I am sold to the colors of Argel, if I could bring back a character to 40k, it would be my boy Argel. The first possessed one, a tragic story from start to finish. Wouldn't it be nice to have Argel, and Erebus on the same battlefield with some funky rules like every time Argel gets hit, Erebus suffers or something? Anyway, overall I'm absolutely happy with this build, even if he is more or less only just a demonic looking jump lord. But trying new things here with these pigments, and I guess the first time using decals here on this channel, and for whatever reason the sentence in my script just ends here. So I used the time to thank every and each of you people out there, for we are really close to 10,000 subscribers, which is incredible for such a young channel in this niche in my opinion. And with that said, I want to improve the production quality a little more using 2 cameras now, just to have a little more variety in shots and things I can do editing wise, as it is something I really like. Also, keeping it interesting. Speaking of editing, this video is long enough and now I hope you'll have a great rest of the day or night or whatever, and we are going to see each other in the next one!